So this is Blind Music Girl and welcome to another video. Today is Monday, March the 30th, and I wanted to start a little something called Music Mondays. And Music Mondays is just going to be a little series, well, I guess you could call it a series, where I do music commentary videos on Mondays just because, well, music is in my handle and it's one of my great passions in life. So, um, here is the first installment, and it's gonna be, um, my journey through music, and I'm gonna talk about all of the singers and bands that have influenced me over my life, and, how music has played such a huge role in, um, me and my identity and just who I am. So here it goes. So music has been a huge part of my life ever since I was a little child. Um, we have old home video of my birthday party, and there was a musical candle. I don't know if you have ever encountered a musical birthday candle, um, but yeah, that was a thing apparently, and the way it worked is that um, when you lit the candle, the uh, little music would kick off and it would start the happy birthday song and it would loop over and over and over until the candle was put out. So the idea was that you light the candle and the happy birthday song would play, and then when the birthday girl blew out the candle, it would stop. I did not know this at the time. And so on this home video, you have everybody just yelling out for me to blow out the candle, blow it, blow it, blow it. And I did not want to blow the candle out because the music had not stopped. Um, so I didn't know, as I said, that the music wouldn't stop until you blew out the candle. So I just burst into tears. I think I was like 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old. And I just burst into tears, like, the music's not over. And so that was that experience. And that's the kind of impact that music always had on me. Just, it just, it was a very strong emotional connection. Um, and it wasn't because I didn't like the music, it was just because it wasn't over. And even at that age, I was such a perfectionist that, I I wanted to wait till the end, and apparently there was no end. So there's that story. So that is the kind of impact that music had on me as a child. And any musical toy that I had, any toy that played music, I would go nuts over. And when I was about 8 years old, um, I heard Celine Dion on the radio. And I'd probably heard her before and just didn't know it because Beauty and the Beast was such a big part of my childhood. That Disney Beauty and the Beast film um, was such a huge part of my childhood, and of course Celine Dion was singing at the end credits in the Beauty and the Beast song with Peabo Bryson, and that was the early '90s. But I didn't know about any of that. So in the late 90s, fast forward a few years, the movie Titanic comes out. And she sings the song My Heart Will Go On. And that song was everywhere. It was unavoidable. You could not get away from it. So I heard that song a million times, like everyone else, and I fell in love with it. Now, I was about 8 years old, so I wasn't really, I had no concept of romance or anything like that. And the movie wasn't a big thing to me at 8, um, but the song was. And I found out who sang the song, found out it was Celine Dion, and got some of her albums, and I would spend every free minute I had listening to her CDs. And that was the beginning of my singing, um, well, not a career, but hobby. And uh, I just listened to her um, when I was at home, and I just loved her voice. And I signed up for, well, I got into a local talent contest that ran for 4 years in a row before it was discontinued. And I never won anything in that contest. So I did I have fun? Well, yeah, but at 9 years old, I was I was really I guess I was expecting to win for some odd reason, and I didn't. And when I didn't win, I cried. Um, and so Celine Dion was really the first uh, singer to really capture my attention. Um, and in 1999, of course, she took a break for a couple of years, and I was kind of sad. And so after that, I just was listening to what everybody else was listening to, and at that time, it was the um, I guess you might call it bubblegum pop, teeny bopper, um, just whatever was popular pop music on the radio at that time. And it was like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera and Mandy Moore and Jessica Simpson and all the boy bands, which I wasn't really into the boy bands as much, but um, yeah, so I got into all that and was listening to that and, through uh, the early 2000s, like 2001, early 2002. And in 2001, I discovered Christian radio. And I discovered that there were songs about faith that could sound cool. And, being the adolescent that I was, I kind of just got um, sucked into that. And it took me a little while, but by the spring of 2002, Christian radio was really my go-to. It's what I listen to all the time. And it kind of still is, but uh, I have some thoughts about Christian radio today that I didn't have in 2002. Just say that. So I discovered, you know, just singers with really great voices. Natalie Grant was there, and Rachel Lampa, and Point of Grace, and Billy Girl, and of course Third Day, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Mercy Me, and just all these. But the one that I kind of became obsessed with over the next few years was the group Avalon, and I listened to them uh, all the time from 2002 on up through I guess 2009, and so that was the the teenage years were Avalon pretty much all day all the time when I wasn't in school I was listening to Avalon. And in 2009 they put out an album and they had a lot of lineup changes in their group. And by the time they released their album Reborn in 2009, I was still into that, but after a little while, that particular album just got old for me, honestly. And then I started listening to more of Natalie Grant, and she uh, was a singer that I knew of for a long time, but she had a song called "I Will Not Be Moved" that was a really kind of a rocker type song, musically um, speaking, and so it was really unexpected. And actually, that was the song that made me sit up and say, "Wow, I didn't know this girl had this." Like, and so I bought that album called Relentless, and uh, that's still one of my favorite albums of hers. It's eclectic. It has a lot of different styles, musical styles on it, and the different songs. And so for the next several years, I kind of fixated on her music. Um, and a lot of this was, music that really helped me through hard times in my life, or what I considered hard times. Of course, when you're a teenager, everything is hard times. um, but in my early 20s, I had some stuff going on. So um, it was, her music and other artists like that kind of helped to get me through that. And um, it was Natalie Grant and Brittany Cole and uh, the late Mandisa, R.I.P. Um, if you didn't know, Mandisa passed away in 2024. So that was kind of how it went for a while. And in the early 2010s, Christian radio kind of started to bore me a little bit. And I was just wondering, where are all the female artists? Because you weren't really hearing much of them anymore. Um, so through, I guess 2012 on through like the next several years, I just kind of listened to whatever, and it was just different stuff. I mean, I started listening to Celine Dion again. I started listening to some pop music, and there are people out there that argue that um, if you are Christian, you should never listen to secular music, which I bought into that as a teenager, but now I'm in my 30s and I'm like, there are songs that are okay in mainstream non-religious music, and there are songs in Christian music that are just meh. Um, there are pop songs that are really inspirational and don't have anything to do with the dirty stuff. So, I mean, I like some of, Demi Lovato. Her name came up when I was looking up some things, and that's how I discovered Demi Lovato, in which I don't like the swearing. I just have never been comfortable with people swearing, but she's got some songs that are really, really good, and she's a great singer. And another one that I discovered in the last few years was Tori Kelly. And Tori Kelly is a great example of somebody who can sing cute, fun pop songs and also gospel songs and stay true to herself and stay true to her faith all at the same time. And, she's not singing anything dirty, she's not swearing in her songs, and she's a really great singer. And that's what I like about Tori Kelly. Um, and in the last few years, I have surprised myself by becoming a bigger fan of this band, Working and Country. Now, I wasn't into, I was into my female artists. I liked the the female singers, not so much the dudes, which I know that's kind of that's not very great of me, but that's just how I was. And Working the Country came on the radio in 2012, and I was still listening to my music like Brittany Cole and Natalie Grant and Mandisa and Francesca Battistelli and Carrie Roberts was out then too. But you get the idea. So I was kind of annoyed that these guys, uh, for King and Country, started to get more, more and more airplay. I was kind of annoyed, honestly. But in around 2016, something happened that shifted that, and that was the song Priceless. Now, that song was something that I needed to hear at that time because my thinking, my thought patterns were all messed up. And so, to make a very long story short, um, after that, I started paying more attention to King and Country. And uh, year after year after year, there was another song that I enjoyed from them. And also, I should mention that they got a song with Tori Kelly and Kirk Franklin. It's called Together, and that was released in 2020. And by 2022, I I don't know what happened, but I just really started becoming a bigger fan of Working in Country. And I'm going to do more videos on all of these artists. Um, every Monday, I'm going to do another video, and it's going to be about another artist or another band. And so, now I'm on all the fan groups on Facebook, and I've got a couple of their CDs. I've got their Priceless necklace. I've got a couple of shirts. So, um, yeah, I've never really been the type to go all in on the merch and the posters and the CDs and da 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 da. But I get what I get, and people buy stuff for me, and which is really cool. And so now I have all. I basically listen to all of these people, and I have my favorites. And sometimes I still listen to the radio, but not nearly as much as I used to. I mean, who does anymore? Like we got streaming services, we got Spotify, we got Apple Music, we got all the things. So I mean, yes, I do pay for Apple Music now because I really like it, and there's no ads. So that's kind of my musical journey, and some of the bands and singers that really inspired me and influenced me over the years. And so I will do follow-up videos on each of these. Maybe not everybody that I named, but the ones that really influenced me over the years. So that is sort of the summary of my music journey. Um, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy what's to come.